Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cherno and welcome to episode 16 of Network Chat Programming. So today we're going to talk about receiving packets, and this is probably going to be a bit of a longer episode here because what we're going to be doing is actually testing this receiving. So in other words, what we will do today is connect our server to our client via a network. Well, in this case, via just this computer. But this will actually work over a LAN, over any kind of network, as long as, of course, firewalls and ports are unblocked as needed. Okay, so how do we do this? So we've got this receive method in server. This is the server class, right? And in server, we've got this method called receive, and this is where we're going to be doing all of our receiving stuff. So what do we need to do? Well, as you probably recall from the previous episode, we have this socket object, right? And what is that? That's a datagram socket that's bound to a specific port. We can send and receive data through that port via that socket. So to receive, all we need to do really is call socket.receive. Okay? Now, when we receive something, we actually receive a packet of data. We have to create that packet of data so that we can store the information or the packet that we receive. So to do that, we simply go ahead and we create first of all, a byte array, which will contain all of our data that we receive. Again, I'm just gonna limit it to 1 kilobyte here, 1024 bytes. And I'll create a datagram packet, and I'll call it packet, and that'll be equal to new datagram packet. And remember, we're receiving, so all we need to care about really is data, which is where we're going to store our data, and at data.length, because that's the amount of data that's being stored. And of course, by calling data, we're referring to this byte array. Let's quickly import datagram packet because we haven't used it in this class yet. And it will go socket.receive packet. Okay. And what that does is it actually shoves all of our data that we receive into this packet, which in turn puts it into this data array. So now if we just try and cache this entire process, I like to just move this, if we just, well, we could move this try up here, but really it's not 100% necessary, so I'm just going to leave it out here. But after that, we need to, well, preferably we don't need to, but we should probably do something with this byte array, which is now full of bytes. Now, because the information that we're going to be receiving is primarily going to be strings, what we could do is simply create a string, and I'll call it, I guess I'll just call it string, and we'll actually set that equal to new string, yeah? And the parameter here is going to be packet dot get data, okay? And that actually returns a byte array. So it kind of does it. Basically what happens here, right, is we create a new packet, socket.receive shoves all of our data into the packet, and what packet does is it actually populates this array, which we can get by popping up packet.getData. So now that we've got this, right, what we've got is some data, okay? And what will happen is, as soon as we receive this, because this is a while running loop, it'll wait until it gets some kind of information, some kind of data over the network. When it does, it's going to, of course, basically pop that data into this packet here, and then we're going to get the data into a string format, okay? And what happens is that completes, obviously, so it goes back to the start of this while running loop as long as running is true. And it goes down and it gets down to receive and it waits. And then it receives something, and then it continues down, puts it into a string, and then it goes back to the start, and it keeps doing that as long as we're running, okay? So let's do something cool with this. Let's just print it out to the console, because that's the coolest thing we could possibly do. So we'll just print out string, okay? So what we've done is we've created a new string based on the data that we get, and we've printed it out to the console. Brilliant. So that's really pretty much it, okay? If we go into server main, so where we start our server, this stuff is all working, I believe. I don't think we did anything that wasn't working here. So we've got this server that we start on the port. Yep, that's correct. And you know what? Let's when a server is started, let's be nice here, and let's actually, as long as it does get started, let's just system.out. In fact, let's do this in the run method, right? So after we set running it equal to true, system.out.println server started on port plus port, okay? And that's pretty much it, right? That'll just tell us that the server has actually indeed been started on this port and there hasn't been any kind of exception. Because if there is, we should really return from the method after printing the stack tray. So we shouldn't start the server anyway, because what will happen is if this does actually generate an exception, what will happen is it'll simply go down into run here, and it'll actually start that thread, and it'll start trying to, it'll start this while running loop, and there's no need if the server's failed to start. So it's a good idea to return here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, and we're actually only at 5 minutes, which is good as well. I thought this would take longer. We'll talk about managing next episode. So now that we've done this receive method, what we should do now is ideally test it. So inside client, I'm going to go back to client.java, which is our client side. What we've got in client is a bunch of GUI stuff, of course, but what we've got as well is this send method. So what I'm going to do is basically, as soon as we connect, perhaps, so we open a connection here, we don't really have any kind of, this is also why differentiating them is a good idea, by the way, because we don't really have any kind of loops or anything. But just to be really cool here, where's our little text? So send, right? Send is our little method here that essentially sends the message. So when we print the message out to the console, yeah, let's also just simply send. And what we need here is a byte of data. All we really need to do here is just go to the actual message that we want to convert, which is message. And all we have to do is type in message.get bytes, okay? And that will just return a byte array of our message, of our string, which is awesome. So now that we've done that, everything should be pretty much good. So what will happen is when we start this client, we of course give it the address of the server, and what it will try to do is send the server our message. Yep, brilliant. Another thing we should do as well is when we actually start the, you see this attempting connection to, what we should do is we should also try and send, as it's doing that, we should send, let's see, let's just send a string such as, what should I call it? What should I, well, I guess we'll go name. Let's make this a string because we'll have to. So string connection equals name connected from, and then we'll type in the address. And then we might pop a little, just the port thing here as well. Okay, so that's our connection. And then we'll go connection, we'll send a connection dot get bytes. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So let's try and do this. Okay, let's try and actually launch the server and see if it intercepts that packet of data and prints it to the console, because what it should do is just print whatever it receives, right? So here's our console over here. I'm gonna try and fit this in for you guys somehow. I'm just gonna drag it up here. It gets a bit hard to do this with the amount of screen space that we have, just because obviously you guys want me to zoom in a bit to the code so you can see it. But here's the console. You guys should be able to see that well. So what I'll do is I'll start the server, okay? And I do that simply by, if we go to server.main, and I can do, okay, hang on. First of all, let's see here. So, okay, receiving stuff. Okay, let's go to server main, and so let's say over here, if I go to debug configurations real quick so we can see what port we're starting it on. I think it's A1. Okay, AAA. We'll change it to A192 just because that's how I roll. That's usually my go-to port number. So we're starting a new main server here with a port here, and that's of course in turn starting a new server. So let's go to server.main because this is the one that has the main method, and let's simply run that. Okay, so it terminates straight away. So we've probably screwed something up here. Yep, what we've done is we never started this run thread, so make sure we call run.start to actually start this this run method, which of course will run our run method. This run thread, which will run our run method. Probably shouldn't have called the thread run. That's really a mouthful. So let's go back to server main, which is the one with our main class, and we'll just hit we'll just start that. Okay. So what we have now is it's currently running, and you can see that by the fact that it doesn't say terminated here. Also, there is a little terminate red button here. We've started a server on port 8192. Brilliant. So it's started, and it's actually just waiting for packets right now. So what we'll do is while this is started, I'm actually going to go into the login.java, which is our other program, which of course has its own main method. So now since I'm inside this, I can just hit the debug button again, and it will actually just launch the GUI. Now, one of the things that's happened here is the console, as you can see, has actually changed to the to this login screen's console. And to get around that, what we can do is we can actually open a new window. So if we go Window, Show View, and then Debug, which isn't even here, so we'll have to click Other, and go to Debug and Debug, hit OK. And this will actually have, you can see that we've got two applications running here. And this is really useful as well, this view. I'll probably take a minute just to explain this as well. This has all of our different threads listed as well as our applications. So you can see here's server main. We've got two applications currently running. Server main, which is our server, and login, which is our client. So if we go under server main, you can actually see the threads that are running. So this again is the default thread that runs, and that's the destroy Java virtual machine thread. That's actually what actually tells the program to stop. So after you request for it to stop, either by quitting, closing, whatever you do, terminating the application, this is what actually ends the process, okay? Manage and receive are the current two threads that are running. So if we go into server, you see that we've, of course, called manage clients and receive, and both receive and manage clients have their own while running loop, which is indeed in their own threads. This is why we named the threads as well, because if we do name the threads like that, what that allows us to do is actually read them here. You can see this one clearly says manage thread, this one says receive thread, so if we have problems, we can diagnose that. Login actually has a bunch of threads, and the reason it's got a bunch of threads is because we're running the AWT, which is the abstract window toolkit. That is the actual GUI, okay? That's this window. Because we've created a window, not a terminal application, you can see how it's a lot heavier weight, and that's because it's listening for things like if we close it and do all that good stuff. So that's how this works. Now what we can do is if we actually click on server main here and go back to the console, you can see the console is indeed our server main console, okay? So you can use debug to switch between applications. If I click on login again, you can see it's the login Java application. So we'll switch over to server main, go to console, and here's our port. So we'll log in, okay? So yarn will be our name, localhost will be our IP address because we're referring to this computer. You can also type in 127.0.0.1, which is localhost, but we'll just pop in localhost because it's probably easier for you guys to remember. So 8192 is the port. We'll hit login. Okay, so we got a bunch of errors here, which is kind of good in a way, okay? It's good because clearly the server received some packets. In fact, we got actually, I don't think that was, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the problems that I actually wanted to talk to you guys about. Our server's still fine, right? But our application isn't, okay? Our application is the thing that crashed. And this is actually a perfect example of what I wanted to touch on. Let's keep our server running. Nothing's wrong with the server, okay? If we go to login, you'll notice that what I did here is I actually logged in with a particular port. Now that's an issue, okay? And I wanted to clearly illustrate that. I don't think anyone picked up on that either, which is, you know, I'm not expecting you to, but in port, okay, what we do here is, this is in the client class, of course, we actually start a new datagram socket at a specific port. That's a problem because that tells it, okay, start a server pretty much at that port. It doesn't really say start a server at that port. It says occupy that port. Now we've already got something bound to 8192. Yeah? We already got something bound to 8192. And that is the actual server. So how can we take that port if it's already taken? We can't, right? It's impossible. One person actually tweeted me and he asked, is it possible to, you know, with security in Java, is it actually possible to hijack a port in a way? Well, not really hijack a port, but can another application intercept packets that are bound to a server based on a specific port? And the answer is pretty much no, right? There are, of course, I'm not going to go into hacking and stuff, but the idea is it's not actually possible to just simply if you've got an application that's using a specific port, you can't actually create another application that uses that same port. It won't let you, okay? And the reason it won't let you is because it's already occupied. Like there's actually the hardware allocates although I'm not going to get too much into this because ports are layer 3, I think, or layer 4. Ports are a different ball game altogether. They're pretty much the highest level of as far as the network layer of stuff goes. Anyway, the point is that we can't start this datagram socket on this port because it's already taken. So what I recommend you guys do is simply delete that parameter altogether. Okay, and you guys might be like, okay, well then why is this port parameter even here? And there's a big reason for that, right? The reason this port parameter is here, we can actually get rid of it in Open Connection because we don't need it for Open Connection. But the reason it's here in this class is because that port is the destination port of where we want to send our data to, right? The server runs on a specific port. If we go down here, you can see in send, and I'll have to, let me just, okay, over here in send, that's clearly not it at all. Okay, in send, and we'll go to our actual send method, you can see that we actually destined this packet for a specific IP address and a port. Now that port is where we send the packet to. So that's why we need to enter the packet when we launch the GUI, because that port is actually the location, it's the server's port, right? It's where we want to send the packet to. We want to send it to a specific address, and we want to send it to a specific port, because addresses and port have to go together, because of course an address, the server might be running multiple applications, and we want to send this packet of data specifically to the Cherno chat application, which we've given the port number 8192. So anything that gets sent to 8192 will get picked up by on this server. Okay, so now that we've changed that, okay, our server's still running. And again, what I did change there, just in case you missed that through all of my explanations, what we did change there was we simply removed the port from here. So there used to be a parameter here called port. We've gotten rid of that, okay? So what we're doing now, if you mouse over and look at the Java doc, we are constructing a datagram socket and binds it to any available port, okay? Now, what we can do, and you guys might be like, you smart cookies out there might be like, I'm never saying that again. You guys out there might be like, well, okay, if we don't even know what port we're binding it to, don't we need to somehow send the server that port so that it can then reply to us and send data back to the correct port? If we're assigning a random port that's available, how does the server know where to send the packet to? And I'm glad you asked, because we're going to talk about that probably next time. But the idea is that when we receive this packet of data here, there is actually an application, there's actually a method called packet.getAddress, okay? That's actually useless, I just realized. Packet.getPort, okay? Because we already know the address of the, oh, actually, no, we don't. That's a good point. We can use packet.getAddress and packet.getPort, and that'll actually get the source port and address, because of course when packets of data get sent over a network via UDP, TCP, whatever, not only the destination is included in the header, the source address and port are also included. Okay, enough talking. I hope you guys understood that. You might want to watch that a few times to really get it if you want to get this. And this stuff will be actually implemented in the game programming series. So if you're only into creating video games instead of all these network applications, I still highly recommend you guys to really get this, okay? This was kind of an in-depth video. I shouldn't have probably gone that far. But you can see this is still running because it doesn't say terminated, and this is still here. So what I'll do is in login, I'll start that login application again. I'll switch over to debug, and I will click on server main, so I return back here onto the console view for the server. I'll type in yarn localhost and 8192. And that, of course, is the destination port. And I'm going to just try and log in. And you can see when I hit login, right, the server says yarn connected from localhost 8192. Brilliant, right? And over here, if I type something like, hey, what's up, hit enter or send, it'll actually appear here on the server, okay? So what's up, bros? My name is the Cherno. I'll hit send, and here it is. It appears on the server, okay? So what we've done now, right? What we have done now is we've actually sent a packet of data from one application to the other over a network, okay? So that's going to wrap up this episode. I may do a little cool vloggy kind of demonstration of actually showing you how it travels from one computer to the other. Let me know if you guys want that. It's probably just going to be a ridiculously short video that I don't know. But the point is, I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode of Network Chat Programming. It's probably the most in-depth one we've had so far, and really what the series is going to kind of continue in the spirit of. But if you did enjoy the episode, please hit the like button. Again, if we hit 200 likes, we'll get one video per day. 300 likes, 2 videos per day. Okay, so it's up to you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.